Transitions are something that you should consider at the end of your essay. Once you've written all your body paragraphs, you have your intro done, and you're working on your conclusion. You need to be able to connect the paragraphs together so that the transition makes sense. And an easy way to do that is just look up transition words. There are a ton of great resources out there that can give you some transition phrases or words. And you have to provide the reader with some direction so it doesn't feel choppy and it doesn't feel like it moves very quickly between ideas. This also helps you figure out whether or not you've got your paragraphs in the right order so that they make sense to your reader. So transitions between paragraphs, if you've done a good job, that content should lead from one idea to the next. And you can also have transitions within paragraphs. So sometimes you're going to switch over ideas, and a lot of times that can be just single words and phrases. So once you have your transition settled, you can go into your conclusion, because by this point, you know what you're wrapping up. All your body paragraphs are done, your intro is done, and now your conclusion bridges your readers back to make the transition into their daily lives, or just kind of leave them thinking about a bigger idea that you brought up in your essay. So why does all of this analysis and information matter to your readers? That's the kind of element that you're trying to leave them with your conclusion. So the conclusion is to have the last word. You kind of summarize your thoughts, but avoid that kind of eighth grade summary. You demonstrate the importance of your ideas, try to give readers a new perspective of your subject, and on a positive note. Go beyond the confines of the assignment. So if you're talking about a book, see how that book can connect to readers' lives and make them glad you read your paper. So ask, so what? Why should anybody care? These are just some ideas to conclude your paper. Discuss the theme and introduce it with a new twist. Provide a provocative insight or quotation. Then write a brief summary of the paper's main points, but don't summarize the whole thing. This should only be like 1 or 2 sentences. My favorite one is propose a course of action, a solution, or a question. So like, where do we go from here? How does this connect to a bigger issue happening in our world? So for example, your paper examines girls' body issues. You could point out that its impact on negative body image around the world as a whole, and how this affects people, and how we need to change it and address it, and make adjustments in society. So try to make your ending attached to bigger issues happening around the world. So avoid that in conclusion, in summary, in closing statement. Don't restate your thesis in a way that it's just like your introduction. Try not to go crazy and introduce a whole new subtopic that makes your essay feel unfinished. Don't get too sentimental or emotional at the end. That doesn't really necessarily match the rest of your paper. So if you haven't been super emotional call to action, don't make that moment too intense at the end of your paper. And don't include any new evidence or quotations. That stuff should be in the body of your paper.